Kristin, I'm going to turn this over to you because I think you are one of the luxury superstars in the company. So I'll have you introduce yourself.
Wow, that's great, Brady. Thank you for that nice comment. My name is Kristin Daly. I got into real estate as a hobby about 15 years ago after 10 years in corporate sales for small technology companies. Usually when people hear I got into real estate as a hobby, they kind of chuckle, they look at me quizzically. It's a nice icebreaker. So I encourage all of you to find like a funny way of, introducing yourselves. Uh, I got into the business kind of, just as a plan B. I went to night school, was on a team for a year and a half, rolled off of that team, learned all of my systems, worked, lived, slept, ate real estate for about 4 years on my own. And then my team started organically in 2012. So for the last 8 to 9 years, I've had a team. It's been amazing, wonderful, challenging. If anyone wants to hear more about running a team that trends on luxury, I'm happy to help. And then just in the last year, 2 years, as Philadelphia has been really coming into its own at the height of the market, we've had the luxury of working with some pretty amazing luxury opportunities. So I'll give you two quick examples. One, we're proud to represent clients of ours who are buying at one of the three newest luxury buildings to the Philadelphia market, where the price per square foot is approaching 1,700 a square foot.
Whoa, time out. 1,700
1,700
for Philadelphia.
For Philadelphia.
And there's just one Philadelphia, right?
Yep, and I've triple checked my math.
So what did they get for 1,700 a square foot besides a trophy?
So for 1,700 a square foot, they're buying in probably the coolest, most exclusive luxury building. It's called the Laurel. It's going to be the place to be seen, the hottest new construction building in the city, and it's going to have like the most exclusive vibe and also the most luxurious vibe, if you will. This building was built on vacant land, the only vacant land in Center City, just off of Rittenhouse Square, which is probably the most affluent neighborhood in the city. And the commercial anchor for this building is going to be the hottest, newest version of Equinox.
Oh, yeah.
So anybody walking around this building has to be hot and has to be in shape.
Yeah, it's the land of pretty people. Okay, so we just explained it. So for $1,700, you get a lifestyle around pretty people and great vibes. I get it. I get it.
And it's very interesting, again, a privilege to work with the buyers because they deserve it. She stayed at home while her husband worked through like a lot of medical professional worlds and pharma worlds. He traveled a ton for work, so she was really at home. So I feel like the buyer was really the wife, and she and her husband have become close friends. And again, it's an honor to work with them. We met them at an open house, a luxury open house, at a fourth of what they're paying, valued at a fourth of what they're paying. So their price, we met them at an open house of ours, a nice, I'll say luxury condo, not ultra luxury, but a nice luxury condo that eventually sold for about 1.4 cash. And we met $4 million buyers in an open house. So open houses work. They're a strong foundational element to our prospecting. And we will always host open houses. We love open houses, and we're hosting a number of open houses this weekend, although they are not at luxury listings quite this weekend. Another example of what we're working with.
Wait, hold on 1 second. I want to make sure that the ladies don't hear this, because I know when Kristin, you are a very strong presenter. And so you know that people who want to get into luxury get fearful on how they get in front of people. So I want to make sure everybody heard that she was presenting at an open house, not at a property considered luxury, but met the clientele, made no judgment, probably asked a lot of questions, discovered what they were looking for. And then your presentation lifted them up into a $4 million property.
There are so many lessons learned by this client engagement. So many lessons. So, and also to the audience, we almost didn't host this open house where we met the ultra luxury buyers. We hosted the open house to protect the sellers. They had just gone under contract like the night before or maybe 2 days prior. We didn't need to host the open house. We did it to protect the sellers. We were looking for a backup offer for them because at the time I just had a vibe about the buyer. I wasn't sure if the buyer was going to continue to move forward to settlement. So we decided to host the open house. And ironically enough, one of my team members and I, who I think is on this call, Eleni, we had just closed on a buyer that we had been in touch with for years on a penthouse deal in roughly the same price point. So I knew the inventory really, really, really well. And I knew that there were some quick listings that we could show them right after the open house. So I quickly arranged that. I quickly was with them at these new construction sites because if anybody knows anything about new construction developments, you really need to be the agent advocate at the first meeting that your client has at a new construction project. Otherwise, the new construction sales team will not honor your relationship. So
Right.
a lot of things had to happen correctly that day, and they did. So here we are with those amazing clients and new friends. And then on the listing side, we're honored to work with an amazing listing just south of this new construction at the Laurel, and it's a totally opposite type of product. It's a single family row home. It's about 4,700 square feet, and it's listed at 4.5. It's listed just under 1,000 per square foot. So we have clients under contract to buy for about 1,700 square feet or 1,700 a square foot. And then we have this great single family townhome with 2-car parking, a space for a third in front, beautifully renovated for just under 1,000 a square foot. So it's an honor. I love it. Our business is not exclusively luxury. And don't get me wrong, the townhome sale will be a challenge. So I hope to honor all of your referrals because we're probably gonna sell to a relocation client from possibly Houston. We do a lot of MD Anderson, Houston referrals for oncology positions in medicine. We also get a lot of relocation clients coming in from, I want to say, Ann Arbor, Michigan, to work at Wharton as faculty. We have just met some relocation buyers from Chicago, some from Charleston, because there's also another medical institution there, some from Boston. So anyway, we need that perfect buyer because given the market history, it's typically taken about 2 years to sell this type of product. So that will be a good success story for another mastermind, like in the future. We'll be back to speak with you in 2 years, hopefully.
All right, let's talk about two things you brought up. Number one, let's talk about how money is moving in the luxury monopoly board. They start to use the phrase virtual monopoly board. People resonate with that. So Kristin shared that she has 3 markets that she's mastering. One is the market she's in, Philadelphia. Kristin, be sure to type into the chat your contact information so they know how to send referrals to you. She's mastering Philadelphia.
America first.
Hey, Gary, we're going to meet you, okay? I'm going to try to meet you if I can. The second market that Kristin's dominating is what we call the feeder market. Imagine, so where are the buyers coming from to get into the Jersey Shore? Where are they coming from to get into Philadelphia? So think of it as a trade wind where the buyers are coming from to get to your market. That's the market number 2 you've got to master. And then the third market is what we call the downriver market. Now, either your clients are going to leave your market or the client's money may leave the market. For example, they may be in Jersey, but they're going to buy a second home in Florida, or they're going to buy a second home back in Atlanta, or they're going to buy a second home up in, Maine. You've got to think about where the client or the money is going to next. So Kristin, let's talk about what specifically you do to find buyers in luxury from your feeder market, or what you may do to help your clients spend money or make the move downriver? What does your world look like specifically on feeders and downriver?
That's a great question. And that's an area that I probably could improve or enhance my business. I'll give you one quick example. So ironically enough, we have a great opportunity right now with a Zillow lead in a niche market that we have, a niche neighborhood, the Graduate Hospital neighborhood in Philadelphia, just a couple of minutes from Center City. We have a great listing on the market for just under $1 million. They're looking to simply buy in a different neighborhood with parking for around the same price point. And this is their third primary residence. So, so I guess in answer to your question, they have a home in Park City, Utah, that they're going to be spending most of the winter in. They also have their primary residence more so in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. So this it's a great example. Both husband and wife are in finance. They have great networks. The wife sold a company. They know how to network. They play their businesses at a very high level. It's an honor to work with them. And you know, we have some work to do in terms of making sure they know the right person to speak with in Park City and the right person to speak with in Rehoboth, because I'm sure they have really well-developed networks in both cities.
Right.
Another example is one of our luxury listings this year at the Residences at the Ritz. They have a home in the suburbs of Philadelphia that they're keeping. They also bought a home in like right near Annapolis in Maryland. Maryland is a great referral state for us. We love our Keller Williams counterparts in Maryland. It's oftentimes a slightly more valuable, properties are priced slightly higher than Philadelphia. So when people come in from Maryland, they feel that Philadelphia is kind of discounted in a way, and they can buy more for their money here. So it's a pleasure.
Their perception is the dollar goes farther, right?
Absolutely. And then of course our New York, I haven't even mentioned New York yet, but we regularly go to our Tribeca office, our Manhattan offices to connect with our New York counterparts. We present there. We discuss, you know, the luxury buildings coming up, the luxury price points, the luxury industries, pharma, finance, medicine, academia. And
Come here.
and yeah.
Megan, I'm going to put you on mute. If I'm going to try to put Megan on mute if you can. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
And so it's fun. It's a lot to manage. You can spend a whole year just developing the referral relationships, and it's so worth it. Before having my kids, my two boys are 7 and 9, and before having kids, and even when they were kind of babies, I made such an effort to go to California, go to Huntington Beach, be present as close as Palm Springs as possible, go to San Francisco, go to you know, Austin as much as possible, and form these high quality relationships. And I can't wait to get back at it and really do as much as we can, given the current you know, challenges in the world. And then hopefully there will be a cure for coronavirus at some point in our near future, and we can all get back to what we know and love.
So a couple things about this. Number one, you should know, and Kristin does, that Keller Williams is the largest real estate sales force the world has ever seen. Our company closes over $1 billion a day. And when we look specifically at the luxury markets, and we look at 15 luxury markets around the country, and we look at the top 10% of those sales, Keller Williams is #1 for all luxury. And that's something that we may not know. So we have to get comfortable acknowledging that we are not only the largest real estate sales force, but we are the sales force that has the #1 position in those 15 luxury markets. The second thing we want to look at is real concrete. In our group here in Palm Springs, we play what's called the 5 C's every day. And you may want to do this, and that is, it's the 5x5 game. We call 5 current luxury clients every single day. 5 current luxury clients every day. We call 5 past luxury clients every day. 5 and 5 is 10. We call 5 people that serve luxury clients: cleaners, movers, financial planners, accounting firms. And then this is something you all can do. You call 5 local luxury agent markets, right? And then 5 luxury agents outside of your market, either from a feeder, because they're going to give you referrals coming into your city, or downriver. But you want to make sure you're lead generating into those other markets. And here's how you ask the question: what changes do you want to make in your luxury real estate monopoly board this year, right? They may think of Sage for Jersey, or Joelle for Jersey, or they may think of Matthew for Jersey, but they're not going to make the connection that Sage and Joelle and Matthew can get you connected to Aspen, or get you connected to Manhattan, or get you connected to Atlanta. So you have to let them know that you are the connector to any market that they want to be in. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a team member in our group. The only thing they do is call into feeder markets, and he will make over $100,000 this year just on referral income. He works 2 hours a day, right? So be very purposeful on who is getting in your market. The second thing I'd say is the sellers in your market, they only care about one thing: who can find the buyer. Kristin knows how to find the buyer. So the script is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you will hire me because of one reason: I know how to find buyers and bring them to the property that you want to sell. I know what they're looking for, I know what they're going to pay for, and I can get you what you want. And when the market turns, and it will turn, they will remember that conversation. Oh, Kristin, Alex, Alyssa, these people know how to find buyers. That's the message you want to cement in their head. So Kristin, let's look at your market, your business. Let's think it's a pie, right? 100%. What percentage would be traditional, and what percentage is luxury, and on average?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I don't know. I guess so. I can answer that in different ways. I would say that most of my personal business is luxury. I guess I would include that as like 800,000 to $1 million and up. And
Okay.
then our team's business, is probably maybe 40% luxury and 60% non-luxury. So we're not exclusively luxury. Like I mentioned, in fact, like we're hosting a bunch of open houses this weekend. I think the highest price point we're hosting at is like 680 or something.
Okay. Did I hear you correctly that your personal production is more luxury,
Mm-hmm.
and your team's production is more traditional?
Mm-hmm.
Did I hear that?
Just because my team members right now have not been in the business as long as I have, and so while don't get me wrong, some of them are procuring luxury opportunities, they just haven't been in business as long as I have. So that's the only difference. I will say that there are important luxury lessons that my team and I are mastering and learning every day. I think the biggest lesson in the luxury market is timing and response time. Everybody on this call may think that you have a fast response time, but you don't if you're working with a luxury market. Like you literally, like nothing can be fast enough for the luxury market.
Why is that, Kristin?
I think it's because a luxury buyer, seller, again, these are people who own their own companies, who micromanage their own companies, who micromanage their own lives. These are people who manage multiple primary residences. I don't know if any of you on this call have multiple primary residences, but I know that I don't have the time right now to manage multiple primary residences. And it's not just because of my work or my kids or my life, it's because I don't want to. Like managing multiple primary residences requires like a different skill set right now that I'm not ready for in life. So if my clients are people who manage multiple primary residences across different states and they're managing all those logistics, they have a whole team of people. They don't just have me. They have versions of me around them, protecting them, helping them. And they expect the highest level of communication and service and timing from all of us, including me. And so, and I don't do this perfectly all the time. It's something that I'm
Wait a
mastering.
minute, you're not perfect all the time. That means you're human, right?
Yeah, I'll give a quick example. I mean,
Don't worry, they've all signed the non-disclosure, Kristen. It's everybody signed the non-disclosure. They're good.
thank you, thank you, Brady. Like, that's important. But I'll give you a quick example. I was walking through this city. It was a nice day. I was with my kids. Coronavirus, because they were out of school early, or maybe they didn't even have school that day. I don't even know. But I got a call from a luxury seller that I was working with, who's one of the top attorneys in the city. And he didn't get to where he is today for being nice or, in like non-responsive. And my typical mode of operating is answering every phone call I get. But unfortunately, when I shouldn't have answered that call because I was distracted. My kids were with me walking Philadelphia, and don't get me wrong, it was a beautiful day, and I typically love walking through the city. But during this time, this changing year with all these different political and protests and coronavirus going on, I also have to be a protective mom and make sure that my kids are staying on the sidewalk and they're not getting distracted and whatever. So long story short, I shouldn't have answered the phone call. I sounded distracted, and my seller, the seller that I was working with, my client recognized it, and he wasn't happy with me. And I should have known better than to answer that phone call at that particular time. And anyway, it was.
It happens to us all. So let's go into some of the vegan or meats and potatoes of this. Number one, if you're an individual agent or you're leading a team, right? Let's take a note from something like the Ritz-Carlton. The Ritz-Carlton has 5 gold standards. And one of those standards would be ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen, right? That's a standard, a gold standard of the Ritz-Carlton. In that, and Kristin talked about this, is luxury clientele and traditional clientele, but especially luxury, they want anticipatory service, meaning they want Kristin to anticipate what they need and give it to them before they realize they need it or they have to ask for it. Here's the good news. We work pretty much an assembly line business. We do the same thing over and over, and it's not sexy and it's not exciting all the time. In fact, we simply have to master the art of repetitious boredom. So when you look at how your customer goes through the experience of working with you, think about the defining moments. What are the checkpoints that happen time and time again? And how can you, as an individual agent or as part of a team, give the message to the client of, let me tell you what's going to happen next. So ultimately, that client never really has to call in when you're managing the children on the sidewalk. Number 2, Kristin had to do this. I had been on a sidewalk, right? I had been in that situation. So we put in a Google line. Now the customer calls the Google line, and any one of our brand ambassadors can pick up that Google line in case I cannot. That way I can see the communication, I can hear it, but I'm not always reaching for the phone. So that's a real technical thing, whether you're an individual agent or a team, that you can set up a technology. The clients don't need you. The client needs access to what you know or what you can provide. And remember that brand standards are defined one of 2 ways, either by you or by the customer. It's better when they're defined by you because then you remain in control of the customer experience. So Kristin, let's talk about your difference of traditional and luxury. Let's roll back the clock. Let's roll back the clock a few years. I'm going to make a prediction that you got into luxury on one of 3 ways. Either your exceptional service that you're known for providing. Number two, your strong knowledge of the market because you have strong knowledge of the market. Or number three, your ability to ask questions to present. Which of these three do you think got you into luxury first or made the biggest splash?
That's a great question. All of them combined, I guess I'll say maybe my market knowledge. I think that the overarching theme though is my ability to connect with everyone and to listen to them and put myself as secondary. That's a critical luxury element or attracting a luxury market. Your needs are secondary to the luxury market's needs. So I guess my market knowledge, but then also my ability to connect with the client, any client, but especially the luxury market, and put my needs as secondary, almost to a fault. I mean, my most strategic luxury clients, I attracted it during a difficult year when I had my first child in 2011, and she was having twins later in 2011. And it was super challenging. It was messy. New moms should not be working together. It was kind of a disaster, and I had to call in for support. I had to engage another agent in my office to help me with that because it was not ideal.
Here's a lesson on that. I think we want to share this with the group that when we get into luxury, we go in realizing the level of service that you offer will directly dictate the level of income that you'll make.
Mm-hmm.
The level of service you offer will directly dictate the level of income that you make. Now, the longevity of that income is based on your ability to lead generate, lead follow up, provide great service, right?
Mm-hmm.
But initially, the service you offer, like adding that one open house that led to a $4 million sale, right? That's it. When we look at luxury, right? And we look at you are now in luxury, right? You've providing great service. You know how to ask a lot of questions and you know the market. How do you continue to do things on a daily basis to grow your business in luxury?
Again, I can answer that in so many different ways. One of the biggest element of where we're at right now is my team, and how well we do our jobs, and how well we can respond to the client, and how efficiently we can respond, how quickly we can respond with accurate information. So, for example, Megan is on my team, Eleni's on my team, Sage is on my team. They're all members of the call right now. How well we do our jobs in the micro world of ourselves helps the team collectively do our jobs and service the luxury community of Philadelphia in the best way. And we're always striving to improve ourselves and do that well. But that's the biggest element to our success right now is our team, and how well everybody does their own individual jobs. And then also over the years, I've committed to growing our Keller Williams brand nationally, globally, through recruiting and talent, and constantly keeping myself open to talent. And I know you have as well, Brady. I love meeting with talent. Meeting with talent is like meeting with a luxury client. It's critical. I love it. And it's all about being responsive. And so some of our newest team members are amazing. Some of our most tenured team members were because are most tenured because we've made the right decisions to keep them tenured with us. And we made the right decisions when we met them 4 or 5 years ago to take a chance, take a risk, and then try to fast track them or support them as they got into sales. And that's a whole nother element of the business. I don't know if you want to touch upon that, but I know, Brady, you and I love team building. I love seeing our team members successful. And when people ask you, what is your big why? You know, of course it's family, of course it's financial freedom, financial independence, it's my kids. That goes without saying. But I love seeing Eleni closing her first couple $1 million deals in the first year of doing business with her, whereas it took me years to close my first $1 million deals. I love seeing Megan delivering results to her friend network, and they just found out that she was in real estate. I love seeing Christiana develop her portfolio of income producing properties, and then also get, you know, better at working with the luxury market. So for me now, I love helping buyers and sellers with their goals. And then there's another part of me that loves helping our team members reaching their goals.
Yeah.
And that's how we've grown, and that's how we've gotten to where we are now. Now, don't get me wrong, I've reinserted myself into representing buyers and sellers because I've realized that I'm one of few people in this market right now who have the experience that all luxury buyers and sellers need. I have had a 7th level team over the years, especially when my kids were really, really young, where I wasn't representing buyers and sellers as much. And I still try to share as much of my business as possible. Again, sometimes to a fault, not to a fault in terms of like making major mistakes. I choose to share probably more of my business with the team than most team leaders, because that's a choice. That's a choice I make to protect my work-life balance. Like this weekend, for example, I'm a soccer mom. I'm a flag football mom in a couple of hours. I don't want to be bothered by my phone this weekend. I don't want to be worried about my texts. I'm not working at all this weekend. Period. Like
You'll love the Google line. You'll love the Google line. They can call in, they can text in, you can see it, but someone else is responding to. So I think there's another thing about Kristin, and that is you said something that very few people say, but we should hear it again. You want people to succeed faster than you did, right? And that's why you're sharing the business. It's not a mistake. You're sharing the business so people who are following you and supporting your brand standards can succeed faster. That's a great thing. All right, so in our group, I'll give you a little secret. We talk every day and we do what's called a daily lineup. We peeled this from the Ritz-Carlton, and every day we talk about the 3 G's. The first G is gratitude. Our ladies and gentlemen come into Zoom at 8:45 Pacific, and I share what that I'm grateful for in them based on our core values we call ASPIRE, A-S-P-I-R-E. We talk about anticipatory service. We talk about serve, perform, inspire, respond, excel. Those are our core gold standards that we lean against as we move forward in the customer experience. Once we've gone through gratitude, we talk about goals. Kristin's goal-minded, we're goal-minded. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a team of 1 or a team of 10, you have to talk about goals every single day. Time goes quickly, especially with COVID. And that 3rd G, that gratitude goals, the 3rd G is the grit. Which lady or gentleman in our company or in our customer base needs more attention? Which property needs more attention? Which person or property is a little bit tired that needs a little bit of a lift? Those 3 G's paired with role play is what allowed us to double our business in less than 2 years. The market didn't double, we doubled based on the 3 G's. So don't underestimate the importance of talking about gratitude, goals, and grit in the luxury space every single day. Now, we don't do that on the weekends, right? But Monday through Friday, the 3 G game, it's valuable. So on that note, right, a couple of things I want to talk about with you, Kristin, because you are very good on the customer experience. You're very particular on what the customer sees from the brand and how the customer feels. So is it safe to say that when you looked at your brand, you may have pulled from other brands like Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, Saks Fifth Avenue, Nordstrom, other brands that delivered that tight look, that great feeling, so that you then brought your group to life? Is that accurate?
Absolutely, absolutely. So everything from the Ritz brand to the Nordstrom's experience, those are two quintessential brands to learn from. The residences at the Ritz training. Lately I've been listening to the phrase "a servant mentality," and I don't go around thinking that all the time, but to work with the luxury market, you should go around thinking that way all the time. And it's not been easy for me to necessarily over the last couple of years get back into the production mode and kind of selling mode, but now I feel like I have a pretty good handle with it or on it. And I've realized that a lot of my clients at this point in time are just like me. They're super busy people, really accomplished, very thoughtful and smart, hopefully, and they just need people to make life easy for them.
Yes.
And when is who do you have around you who makes your life easier? Who are the 3 to 5 people that we talk a lot about advocates, and I don't think that much about like who makes my life easier, but they can be the same people or maybe they're different. But if you don't have anyone around you that makes your life easier, go get some people. That's like a great goal for 2021. Find 3 to 5 people who will make your life easier. I strive to be one of those people for my clients. So our clients, Vivek and Stacy, who relocated from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia to work at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, they're both cardiologists for kids. I mean, they do incredible things. They're at pretty high levels in their careers. They didn't just graduate from medical school. They have adult children, and frankly, they have bought and sold multiple times. They used to live in California, talking about feeder markets, but they're not expert home buyers or sellers. So they closed last week, but because they bought new construction for just under 2 million, we didn't want to do the radon test last week because there were too many doors and windows opening up and so on. But one of the first things I did this week now after they've moved in was reminded them about how important it was to have a radon test, even though I could have just let it go, but I care about them. I don't want to let it go. So the radon the radon monitor is being installed on Saturday morning. And I reminded them what it was for and how long the test took, because they're not thinking about that at all. In addition, when we started working with them, and we met them at another luxury open house. So we've closed 5 million this year almost through 2 buyers met at open houses. So you can understand why we like to host open houses in our market. I've been trying to sell their house for them, even though I'm not listing it. We've put it up on social media, on our proprietary LinkedIn platform that we've developed we've curated carefully over the years of being in business. I have sent it to friends of mine who are more established in the Pittsburgh market, and I may be referring them. I may not get a referral fee depending on how this referral works, but I don't really care. I just want them to sell their house in Pittsburgh. It's listed for 1.8. They thought they were selling it months ago, but they haven't sold it yet. Miraculously, they were able to close on the house in Philadelphia without selling their Pittsburgh house. But nonetheless, I'm working with them after settlement to still try and push their agenda forward by selling their house in Pittsburgh. And I guess I'll encourage all of you to be creative and have fun with yourself, with your client, with your team, with those people around you. Challenge yourself, say like, what can I do today to go above and beyond, to make my world interesting, to impress my client, it doesn't have to be difficult. It can just be like, how can I make my client's life easier?
So let's go with that for a moment, because I think we have some people on the call that maybe are trying to get into luxury, and we have people on the call that are already in luxury. And when I worked for Blake Nordstrom, which was in the late 80s, early 90s, he gave me some advice that I've always stuck in my head. And that is, when you want to get into luxury, make sure that you understand what the luxury consumer wants. And everything that you offer is a mirror image of that. So for example, if we looked at Kristin's consumer, we know that we want the consumer to be serviced, it's easy, it's forward thinking, it's stress-free as possible. Well, to the ladies and gentlemen that support Kristin, they should be doing the same thing inside her group that they want to do outside of the group. So ultimately, that customer looks in the window of Kristin or in our business and they're like, oh, they're just like me. I'm going to work with them. Ultimately, you want the relationship to be where you are selecting them and they are selecting you, whether that's from a talent perspective, a listing perspective, or buyer representation. It's not a listing agreement. It's a pre-engagement opportunity, right? You're engaging yourselves to be in business together, relationships for life. So I think if you were to fly up to see Kristin and you were looking at the Daly group, you probably would walk out saying, I'm not sure if I left the Daly group or I just walked out of Nordstrom, right? That's what you want. You want your customers to think, wow, I think I just bought a jacket from Nordstrom, but instead they bought a house from the Daly group. So that's, for those of you who want to get in, that's hang around the luxury brands and do what they do. Do what they do.
Yeah, and to dovetail off of what Brady is saying, you again can do this pretty quickly, easily in your local markets by just going to the nicest restaurants in town and branding yourselves with the nicest restaurants in town. That's what we do. There's basically one restaurant, and it's not a surprise. It's not a secret. Most of the real estate brokerage community in Philadelphia brands themselves with Park. This is a restaurant, and this is a version of Nordstrom's or, the Ritz-Carlton experience. At Park, you can walk in to that restaurant in your pajamas, or you can walk into that restaurant.
What? Pajamas at the park?
You can walk into Park, P-A-R-C.
Nice.
You can walk into Park in your pajamas, or you can walk into Park in your wedding dress, and you will receive the same service.
Cool.
And I have to admit, I think people within the luxury market, if you're paying attention to Instagram or boats or cars or everybody who's flashy, that can be a version of the luxury market. But my clients who bought a $2 million property, new construction the other day, they, from Pittsburgh, very Midwestern, very low key, very, they definitely are not wearing like East Coast sophisticated clothing. They look like they're going golfing every day or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're wearing like khaki shorts and baseball hats.
Yeah.
So like luxury, and we've heard it many times over, like some of the most affluent people, some of the most wealthy people are not flaunting their wealth. So when you do see the wealth being flaunted, they may not, you have to be a little protective or skeptical or just patient with the relationship building, because they may or may not, they may be, high-end renters for a year, and then they may move back home into a market that's much more manageable. Who knows? Nobody knows what's going on.
One thing I'll say on that is for those in the room, be aware that luxury is not a price point. It is an experience. And luxury clientele will buy at all price points. They're fine buying at all price points. They're not fine with indifferent experiences. A little fact that came from the Ritz-Carlton. When you sell or when the client relationship ends, there's a 10% chance they won't come back to you, right? You've sold the house, they've moved out of Jersey to California. They've moved up to Kristin's market. They've moved to Seattle, right? 10% chance they'll never come back. You can't prevent that. There's about a 15% chance they'll use someone else because maybe they got married to Kristin and now Kristin's the new agent, or their young daughter is now licensed agent, or they've fallen in love with a different brand. That's going to happen, right? But here's the thing. 67%, ladies and gentlemen, 67% of your customers won't come back because the service was indifferent. They did not have a connection to the brand. And that's what you have to be. So I'll give you a little tip. We used to give closing gifts, that awkward moment at the end of the transaction where they've given you $35,000 of commission and you show up with a bottle of wine, right? That awkward bottle of wine that you just picked up from the grocery store, that you've wrapped in the back of your car, that you're trying to shove on the moment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they are so tired of you at the end of the transaction, they really don't want to see you anymore. Like, they don't have any interest. So what we did is we took that $300 closing gift and we divided it 8 times into the transaction. In other words, we surprised and delight our clients 8 times through the transaction. If you want to take a look at that playbook, you can email, and I'll put it in here, info@Brady Sandahl. We'll share our playbook with you. And I'll tell you that our Keller Williams associates around the country are using this. We have hundreds of agents using this playbook or a version of it. It shows you all 8 steps. It gives you the scripts. It gives you examples of gifts you can use. For example, at the end of the photo shoot, we will leave a candle, a nice candle in a beautiful bag. Ladies, why do you like Tiffany's? The bag, the blue bag, the blue box. Gentlemen, you like gifts too, right? You like the Christmas, Hanukkah, open the gifts. We leave a candle and it says, please enjoy the fragrance. We guarantee we'll find the buyer before the wick burns out. Now, most people are like Kristin, like big wow. I even got a nod out of Alex. Like, Alex is like, I'm in. So here's what happens. They'll call and say, oh, Brady, we love the candle. Here's the response. I love that you're enjoying the candle. Who else do you know who'd like to receive a candle just like you? In other words, who else do you know who'd like to list their home? Who else wants to have their home photographed? So we take that $300 awkward closing gift and we divide that into the transaction 8 times. That's a great way to take one transaction and get 8 transactions. Why? Because each time, each defining moment, you're asking for another opportunity. Who do they know that you should know that needs your help? I put in the email info@bradysandahl.com. You can email that and we'll zip back the defining moment campaign for sellers. I really recommend you to look at something like that.
Brady, thank you so much for your comments. And there's one, before we break up, there's one more thing that I wanted to mention that has been strategic to us growing our luxury presence, and that's joining clubs and more clubs and more clubs. So I wish that I had joined clubs earlier in my life, earlier in my career. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. My parents weren't part of the club world. So I didn't grow up in a country club environment or any club environment. My kids, however, are very cognizant of the Union League in Philadelphia. They're aware of the Fittler Club in Philadelphia. And who knows, we may join more clubs. So the Union League has become a very foundational element of our lead generation and luxury branding. In fact, I am super excited about presenting to the Union League real estate club membership on Wednesday. And
Cool.
it's basically, I think, a sold out event in person. And then there's a virtual arm to it. And you can only gain access if you're a member or a guest of a member. But it's a great opportunity that came about from, frankly, me just showing up. I showed up to a previous event that was about fraud and like white collar crime and corporate fraud. And it was very, very dry, frankly. And I think that the leaders of this club just realized we needed to lighten it up, freshen it up, and get some residential real estate, energy into this club. And so I'm presenting next week, and Sage has been helping me today literally develop our PowerPoint presentation for that call. And I joined a second club because I realized that for my focus on talent and my goals and my interest in helping people be successful in real estate, I need to be at the next hippest club in the city. So don't get me wrong, there are days where I think like, I'm not using this club that much, especially during coronavirus time. Is it worth it? It's always worth it. And if you're not finding value in what you're doing, if I'm asking myself that, am I working hard enough at it? Am I showing up enough? Am I being present? Am I reaching out to membership? Am I making that membership work hard enough for me? Because I know that there are much more expensive clubs that I could be a member of in the city. The people that I see as mentors in the Philadelphia area and nationally, they spend a ton of money on many, many different clubs. I look towards the developer community in the city, and they're members of all the clubs that I would love to be part of. But frankly, they're members of very expensive clubs, and they golf way more than I do. So whatever, but I'm definitely aware of that club membership. And I encourage you guys, it doesn't have to be on a super expensive level, but just join one club and then try to max it out over a period of 1 to 2 years and develop business from it. Challenge yourself to work hard at it, to make it worth it.
That's right.
Go ahead.
We've got about 5 minutes left. Are there any questions? Come off mute. Any questions for Kristin that she can answer? Any questions that I can answer?
Hi, my name's Alex. How are you?
Good, Alex. How are you?
Good. It's funny because I was thinking as I was listening to that, and same thing for Brady. I'm going to kind of swing the question both ways. For me, I have the same playbook regardless of price point almost. I mean, the gifts kind of change a little bit, but do you guys find the same thing when you're working with clients that you have the same, like Brady kind of talked about the copy and paste thing, the same machine? Do you do the same thing regardless of price point, whether it's a luxury client or a non-luxury or regular client?
We do. We don't allow the price point to differentiate the experience. So we just closed escrow on a very modest manufactured home that was $199,000, right? The seller went from $650 to $199. We bought him a bottle of Veuve Clicquot in anticipation of closing. And they were like, this is the fancy bottle of champagne. Like, we never thought we would have the right to enjoy this fancy bottle of champagne. All started crying. So all of a sudden, like, we're all crying, like, let's pop the champagne. So remember, it isn't about, we put a lot of pressure, Alex, because we're guys. Like, if I'm gonna buy something for Kristin, I'm gonna freak out. Like, what would Kristin like? Kristin is like most people. It's about the presentation. It's about the packaging. It's about the anticipatory gift. It's not about the gift itself. It's about the arrival of the gift, the presentation of the gift, the moment. So where we put our customization, Alex, is in the note card. Handwritten note cards that go with the gift. There's nothing more frustrating when someone sends a bottle of wine and there's no card. It just came from wine.com. I'm like, I don't know who to thank. So packaging, presentation.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And I think it's important. I was going to say this earlier. I think it's important for everybody on the call to realize that the luxury client doesn't need to be impressed with gifts.
Right.
Like they are luxury. They're enjoying luxurious lives. The luxury experience is how quickly you respond to them.
Right.
I can't reiterate that enough.
Right.
If you put your schedule above theirs, that is a problem, and they will never work with you again.
Yeah.
If you do not respond quickly to them via text or elsewhere, that is the luxury experience. And I think that the agent who has not been exposed to luxury or ultra luxury, you may take that for granted that that's just how we should be doing business, but it's not how everybody does business. And so you have the opportunity to impress your luxury client daily by sending them a quick text, or, and don't get me wrong, I try to keep most of my communication to email, because people can take advantage of everybody over text. But when our luxury clients moved in the other day, I sent them a quick text and I said, is everything okay? Can I do anything for you? Please let me know. They were moving in on a rainy day. But everything was fine for them. And I didn't burden them with too much attention because they didn't need me on that particular day. But you have the opportunity to impress your luxury client with your communication every single day. And if you delay or you miss something or you're not accurate, the closing gift doesn't matter.
Yeah, here's what I'd say to this, and this is to Sage's question. So every time we represent a seller, we call them every day for the first 7 days. We let them know that we care. The first C is care. The second C is curiosity. What can I do for you? How can I make your life easier? May I share with you what we're doing next? The third C is the consultant. Let me share with you specifically what we're doing today. And the fourth C is the close. We call them every single day for the first 7 days, and two things will happen. Number one, by day 7, they're convinced we're doing everything we can do to get their property sold. And number two, we've trained them to look for who else they know that we should serve. So put your effort towards the first 7 days of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's like dating. There's a reason why it's called honeymoon. And I'll tell you, we do more customer surveys in day 7 than we do in the final 7 days of the relationship. When you're enjoying the experience, they're going to share the experience in the moment. They're not going to do it down the road. So honeymoon, love on them. Call them the first 7 days. That's a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. There was something else I wanted to add, but I can't remember exactly what it was. But we do, so our Brady, it sounds like Brady has a much more well-developed system around closing gifts and whatnot. We do intimate dinners with our clients as much as possible. So whether we're going out to a restaurant or whether they're coming to my home or whether we're going to their homes, we do intimate dinners with them. And it's hard to do on a mass level. You can't necessarily do it with everyone, but as much as possible, we try to do that. In addition, for clients that you're really close to, get them thoughtful gifts. I just delivered 2 wonderful cigars to one of our clients, and then we trade pictures back and forth. He took a picture of the cigar he was smoking, after we had already had dinner at their house. We had them over for appetizers at our house, and these are the Laurel clients, the high-end clients that hopefully will be our best friends ever in the city once they move here in 2022, which is 2 years away. Creating those experiences, again, it's something, creating the experience. They may not see the closing gift as the experience.
Right.
And I think that that's important for the client is aspiring to luxury. The experience you give them is really like, how interesting are you? How well can you take care of them? How much do they like you? How much can you connect with them so that you like them, frankly? And then you start to move up into luxury too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have a car in Philadelphia. I spend a lot of money in Ubers. My kids go to a modest school. I would love for them to go to a $60,000 a year school, but they don't. You know, I'm not living like the ultra luxury lifestyle that I would love to live, but guess what? My ultra luxury clients, they didn't live an ultra luxury lifestyle either. They saved, they made good decisions. Like these ultra luxury clients that we just sold to, they, the husband and wife were like separated their whole marriage because he was in Europe, in Germany, selling pharma or whatever he was doing. They've made sacrifices to get to where they're at. So just keep that in mind. You know, it's unique. It's unique if you have clients who have not, luxury clients who have not made sacrifices to get to where they are.
Yeah, good job.
And it's okay. It's okay if you're not living the luxury lifestyle yet. You can tell them that, and you can aspire. You just have to be accurate and time sensitive, and they will love it. But and it's good if you tell them that tell them some of your goals, like share some of that with them. They'll appreciate it.
Yeah. Terrific. Any other questions for Kristin before we sign off? Because I think we're respectful of everyone's time today. You know, it's getting close to happy hour in the East Coast.
Happy hour. If anybody wants to stay on with me after this, if anybody wants to FaceTime me, I think I have maybe, what do I have? I have maybe like 30 minutes before my kids get home. So let's get happy.
I love it. I love it.
Anyway, thank you, Brady, for having me. We look forward to helping your referrals, and we look forward to sending lots of referrals out. It's part of our business plan for next year. So I hope that all of us can share in a very lucrative 2021.
I'll tell you that we will close about 225 luxury properties this year.
Wow.
14. And we're in luxury. What's interesting, in the last 4 months, we've had 50 closings from agent referrals. 50, right? So in March, when California went dark, I said to the team, we're going to make these 5x5 calls, right? I don't care who you're calling, but you're going to show up with the 4 C's of care, curiosity, consult, and close. And I said, I guarantee you the trade wins will pick up. And what we've noticed is, remember this, people are figured out they can work from home. And so they're moving from big markets, high dense buildings most of the time, to things that are more suburban or rural, right? You've got that going on. Number 2, people have figured out they want to travel by car to a second home more than they want to do it by plane. Obviously, ultra luxury will fly private. My sister flies private. She started the company Cuties, those little oranges. That's her company.
No way.
So I fly commercial, she flies private. And the third is the interest rates, exceptionally low, right? So when you look at that, you recognize that now people can get into luxury either for the same monthly payment or close to it. Remember, last year interest rates were 4.5%. They're now 2.5% to 3%. That's a significant opportunity for people to get into luxury. So my final words, you may not know what luxury looks like, or you may not think you can get into luxury, or you may not think your clients want to get there. But ladies and gentlemen, yes to all 3. You can get into luxury. It's not a price point, it's an experience. You deserve to be in the luxury space. And your clients may want to make a move into luxury sooner than you think. So remember, when you're out there lead generating, which is the pedal you never take your foot off of, ask them, what are they going to do in the market that you serve? And more importantly, what else may they be doing across the country or the world? Remember, you're part of the largest real estate sales force this planet has ever seen. Get comfortable suggesting that our company closes over $1 billion a day, and we're the #1 player in luxury in 15 luxury markets. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Keller Williams. That is who we are, what we do, and how we do it.
Woo! Love it, Brady. Thank you.
Great things are happening. You're going to see a lot of exciting news with Keller Williams Luxury coming soon in January. So get the seatbelt on. It's going to be a fun, smooth ride. A lot of things ahead. If you're fearful of lead generating, remember, this is the culture of servant hearts. You can pick up the phone to Kristin, me, anyone in the company, and they're going to take care of you. So lead generate into the family and get good things happening when you do that. All right, I'm going to sign off. Everybody be well. If we can help, info@bradysandahl.com. Otherwise, we'll see you online later. Kristin, take care. Be well.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy the weekend.